I have a very specific relationship with airports. And by specific, I mean completely irrational. Because every single time I have a flight, no matter what time it departs, I convince myself that I need to arrive approximately 3.5 hours early. My flight could be at 2 in the afternoon. That's plenty of time to wake up, have a nice breakfast, pack at a reasonable pace, and still get there with room to spare. But instead, what actually happens is I set 4 alarms, wake up before the first one goes off, stare at the ceiling going, what if there's traffic though? And then leave my house at 6 a.m. just to be safe. And look, I know I'm not alone in this. There are two types of people in this world. The ones who show up to the airport 3 hours early and spend the extra time nervously refreshing the departures board, and the ones doing a full sprint through the terminal with one shoe on and a carry-on bag flapping behind them like a kite. I am firmly in the first group. I have never missed a flight in my life, but I have also spent a truly embarrassing amount of hours just sitting in airports doing absolutely nothing. So recently I had a trip coming up. Domestic flight, nothing complicated. And I thought this time I'm going to be reasonable. Normal, relaxed, like a person who does this all the time. I'm going to show up 2 hours early, not 3. 2, that's it. Growth. I showed up 2 hours and 45 minutes early. But whatever, the extra 45 minutes were because of parking. Because airport parking is its own whole adventure that nobody ever talks about enough. You've got the close lot, the far lot, the economy lot, the lot that's technically off airport property and requires a shuttle bus that comes every 20 minutes and smells like it has opinions. I circled the parking structure for so long, I started recognizing the same gray minivan on every loop like we were in some kind of automotive carousel. I finally found a spot on level 4, memorized level 4, section G, space 22, with the same intensity I used studying for finals, and then immediately forgot all of it the moment I stepped onto the elevator. Okay, inside now. This is fine. Check-in was technically easy because I had done it on my phone the night before like a responsible adult. Mobile boarding pass, ready to go. I felt pretty good about that. I walked straight past the check-in counter with the kind of confidence that only a person with a fully charged phone can have. And then my phone showed 14% battery, so I immediately stopped feeling good about that. Now I'm at security, the TSA line. And here's the thing about the TSA line. It doesn't matter how many times you've done it, you always forget something. You always become suddenly deeply unsure if you packed something you shouldn't have. My bag has gone through security hundreds of times. I have never once smuggled anything. And yet, every single time my bag goes into that scanner, I hold my breath like I'm waiting on a verdict. I started putting my things in the bin. Laptop out, shoes off, belt off, jacket off. Somewhere around removing my third layer, I realized I looked like I was unpacking to move in. The guy behind me in line was watching. I mouthed sorry, and he gave me the universal expression of a man who has accepted his fate. I made it through the scanner without incident, which, honestly, every time that happens, I feel like I should get a small trophy. A ribbon. Something. I gathered my 17 items from the conveyor belt, reassembled myself like a person, and headed toward my gate. Now here's where airports really get you, because between security and the gate, there is an entire ecosystem designed specifically to make you spend money. Little shops selling $6 water bottles. A bookstore where every title suddenly seems incredibly important to your personal development. A place selling neck pillows in every color of the rainbow. I do not need a magenta neck pillow. I bought a magenta neck pillow. I got to my gate a full hour and 45 minutes before boarding, so I did what every reasonable person does in that situation. I sat down, plugged in my phone, pulled up the departures board, and just kind of watched it like a nature documentary. Gate A7. On time. Great. Refresh. Gate A7. On time. Perfect. Refresh again. Still on time. Good, good. What if I refresh one more time just to be sure? And then a gate change. Not a delay. A gate change. My flight had moved from A7 to B14. Now, in a small airport, this is nothing. In a large airport, gates A and B might as well be in different time zones. I grabbed my bag, my neck pillow, my dignity, and walked what I'm pretty sure was a full mile to gate B14. When I got there, I checked the board again. B14. On time. I sat down, caught my breath, and the woman next to me, without even looking up from her book, said, "Gate changed again. B22." I did not say anything. I just stood back up. By the time I actually boarded the plane, I had walked enough steps to count as a workout, spent money I hadn't planned to spend, questioned every item in my bag twice, and refreshed the departures board a number on times that I will not be sharing publicly. But then, just before I found my seat, this older gentleman in the aisle was struggling to lift his bag into the overhead bin. It was one of those moments where everyone kind of noticed, but nobody moved. So I just reached over and helped him get it up there. He looked genuinely surprised, like he hadn't expected anyone to actually stop. He said thank you in this quiet way that made it feel like it really meant something. And I thought about that for the rest of the flight. Not the gate changes, not the parking lot carousel, not the magenta neck pillow, which, for the record, was actually very comfortable. Just that look on his face when someone stopped rushing long enough to help. Airports are strange places. Everyone is going somewhere, everyone is in their own head. Everyone is stressed about something. But that also means everyone could probably use a small, unexpected moment of kindness. So if you're ever in an airport, and you will be eventually, help someone with their bag. Let someone go ahead of you in the security line. Share an outlet if you have one. And for the love of everything, write down where you parked.